Okay, thank you, Almudena, then for this invitation. Thank you all here who are present in this workshop. Okay, so today it's a LIAISE Cost Action training workshop on AI tools for research. I have this presentation ready, and I have been presenting this the last 2 years in few universities across Europe regarding this. Not only highlights the importance and not importance the use of AI, but also the pitfalls and the dangers and contingencies that we need to have when we use AI. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this as interesting as possible for you for the next hour or less than an hour, because I would like also to have a conversation with you and have some Q&A. Okay, so let's start. When I asked GPT, like quite a long ago, is it okay to use AI tools for research? And basically, this is the generic answer it gives. I believe now it gives a little bit better because they be updating their models and becoming more updated, but more or less it's the same. They just say that using this for academic peer review work raises ethical considerations, while AI can assist in various tasks, including providing insights or suggestions for reviewing academic work. That are important points to consider. And basically what it says that ultimately using AI for academic peer review can be ethical if used responsibly and transparently, and I highlight this as well, with human oversight and accountability, but unfortunately we know that some not so well-intended actors don't do that. So it's essential to continuously assess the impact of AI integration on the quality and integrity of peer review process. So basic generic answer, very expected from AI tools to give such generic answers. And I'll show you later, many universities adopt basically this point of view and also publishers in their policies regarding AI. So basically, but we know that temptation is very high to use these tools because writing, it's time consuming. And for you who remember how it was before AI tools or large language models, or LLMs and agentic AIs, was very time consuming. And most of the time when you're writing papers, especially on a specific topic, you often, what ends up to be is this part of introduction and literature review and methodology. If you're using the same methodology, then if you're using more or less in researching the same topics, then you're basically recycling the literature review over and over again, and you're writing the same things with different words. So this basically automates that task. So, but the thing is, these large language models make errors. And we can see in this, I would call it cartoon, but it's like meme maybe. So, and because now its reasoning is becoming better, but it still makes mistakes. For example, in this case, would you please go shopping and buy 1 jug of milk? And if there are avocados, get 6. So he saw that the avocados exist on sale, so he bought 6 jugs of milk. So it's important. Now it makes less mistakes like this than it used to, but it still can happen. So that's why human oversight and supervision is extremely important. Okay. So also the temptation in writing is that whatever it generated by these large language models is adopted and used in research and also official documents. So in your papers and your thesis. And we have to be very careful with this. First of all, you're not the author of this, of course. You're basically a co-author with this large language model. So again, here is the gray area. Who is the real, what is the real authorship of this process? And should we worry about this use of language models in academia? I'm going to make my case. Here's an example. I search here as an AI language model, as you can see here up top. And I remove ChatGPT because I don't want papers about ChatGPT to be shown here. So as an AI language models, there's no access to database. So here is a paper on IEEE. And for example, there's many more. You can see here, just basic search in Google Scholar. And here is the paper. This paper has nothing to do with AI. It's about smart hydroponics farming. But here it is found this sentence. As an AI language model, there is no access to specific database details. However, in general, well-designed database is this and this. So what happened is that this author, and here's another one. As an AI language model, I don't have access to specific results and findings in any particular research study. So the authors generated text using AI and put it here in the document, and it was published. Reviewers didn't notice, editor didn't notice, and it came out online on IEEE platform. But it's you have hundreds, even thousands of such examples. So this was on IEEE library, and it's a conference paper. We know that conference paper, some conferences are not that keen or are not that strict with review process. So unfortunately, this happens. It shouldn't happen, but it happens, so we can close our eyes regarding conference. But here, it's most important. We talk about journals with high impact factors. And for example, in this case, this paper was retracted from 2024 because you can see here highlighted in blue. I'm going to highlight here laser pointer. So here is that in addition, there are concerns that the authors appear to have used GenAI or large language model source in writing process of the paper without disclosure, which is a breach of journal policy. So you have to disclose that you have used generative AI in your acknowledgements. I'll show you an example. It's very, now publishers are highly recommending that you use this, especially for figures. I'll show you later. So what else did I find? See this journal resources policy. This is a journal that has more or less 10 or 11 impact factor. And you can see here, look at the journal. It's now it says that there's an update at the top. But here I'm gonna also search for as an AI language model. And here you see this sentence over here. Please note that as an AI language model, I am unable to generate specific table or contact tests. So the actual result should be included in the table. So this has passed and has been published in a Q1 highly impact factor journal paper. So even here, not only conferences, situations like this happen. Basically, the authors tried to generate. You can see here, 10.2 impact factors. So the authors tried to generate a table of results, and AI said it can't generate. Nobody just copied the text without even looking at it, without even reading, and this is the result. So I draw attention to the fact that you have to, it's mandatory. If you use it, double check it, triple check it to see if everything you wrote, if everything is in there is correct, and this is exactly what you want to do. And by God, don't generate results, tables, and charts. So knowing this and knowing that this has passed and this happens, so let's say call it this type of malpractice, what else is out there since then? What else? So what else is what else is out there? So one of the examples here is this tool called Thesis AI. They mentioned that in one prompt it creates 800 pages, and I'm going to share my screen with. Sorry, I'm going to share my screen with exactly this. So here is probably you're seeing or no. Ah. It's sharing, right? You're seeing.
Yes.
Yeah, we are seeing the 1.8 pages. Yeah.
So you can see there's a short video here in how they use this, and you can see the way that it's used. It can check every sentence. It can say if it's legit or not. It also can give you a lot of metrics. It accepts more than 500 papers. So it exports to overleaf for the people who use LaTeX, so on and so forth. So tools like this one, this is just an example. Tools like this one are out there. Out there everywhere. This is just an example, and it does in more than 20 languages, so on and so forth. Of course, all of these tools are paid, so it's very limited when you use the free version, but you need to know that they obviously is a service and requires payment for it. So another one, for example, is consensus.ai. It's similar to ones that we commonly used to, like ChatGPT or Claude. And you can see here, it also compares approaches, identifies research gaps, how research has been evolved, it generates charts. So again, another type of tool that is geared towards research that exists out there. Here's another one, probably you know this one, Perplexity is out there. It's type of a search engine as well, and also creates and generates and aids you in research. For example, I use this sentence, business models and technological innovation. It gives you certain answers. It gives you already citations, but now ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all these language models, especially the advanced models, they all have this. They all have this type of characteristics and this type of service they can provide you. They give you quite a lot of citations, but we need to be very careful because sometimes it hallucinates and it generates non-existing citations which have been proliferating because people don't check these citations one by one, unfortunately, and they are being propagating all over academia, all over published papers, and it devalues the whole academia, the whole publishing process, and it has been embarrassment. So we should be very, very careful when this is generated, citations are given, we need to check by ourselves. I still believe that the old school, funny that is old school now, but the older process of you finding citations and references first and then writing later based on those, it's much better than just relying on whatever this AI or this large language models is generating for you. So this already has been done. This one, it's called AvidNote. Before it used to be called Kahubi, which is another AI tool. Really quickly here, I'll show it what it does. So I'm going to log in. And what it does here, it's for the AI research toolbox. It has a toolbox for everything. And Consensus also has this. So you can, by selecting research, then you can have all of this at your disposal. For example, if we go to the publish section, which is down here, we can, for example, have research proposal, future research, suggest title, suggest journal, so on and so forth. So for example, let's say, let's ask, okay, what is the opposite view? You can critique, so you read, you proofread, summarize, as you can use this as, or this is as masquerading as a reviewer of your own paper. And you can write introduction, write methodology, discussion, conclusion. So every section of any research document, actually. You can have key keywords, so on and so forth. So you can have all of this, and there are tools such as this one, many more and more advanced already. So then this obviously can create this type of process and ecosystem in which everyone is using AI. You using AI writing, reviewers are using AI reviewing, and as AI writes, you even suspect that reviewers are using AI as well. And we need to, this is the reality and what we can do by knowing this. So these AI tools can also aid writing research proposals. Here, obviously, I'm going to use the free part just to showcase how this is used. But for example, here I write, again, business models with circular economy and on emphasis on shared economy, let's say. So it generates and it creates research proposals. Now it's much more advanced than this, with equations, with charts, with citations, so on and so forth. So even writes research proposals, and also I believe that reviewers of research proposals also resort to AI tools, depending on how much they are allowed to using it or not. So what happens? There are many language models, AI detectors as well. Some institutions, some universities dislike this, and there also a market of detectors have been popping up. Here's, for example, one, how basically it works. It analyzes patterns in speech and then identifies if it was robotic and generated by AI or not. So here are an example, the research proposal I just generated. Let's look at it, okay? Let's copy it and let's check in 0 GPT that you can see up here on GPT-0, just one of the generic AI, checking if it was used by AI or not. So we saw that that was generated by me, this research proposal, and you can see here that it's 95% generated by AI. So it detected that AI generated that text. Let's try GPT-0, and here also 80.33. So you can see that they're not that accurate. For example, C and D here, you see that it didn't detect. So, but majority of generated text, it automatically detects it was written by AI. So these tools are used now. They're even more advanced, and it's like a cat and mouse situation here. And here is the reviewer, for example, feedback. When considering our best course of action, one strategy is to essentially fight the use of AI. And you fight the use of AI with the examples I showed you here with AI detected generated text detectors, right? So we can attempt to detect and use of these tools, and so dissuade students from using them by penalizing their grades. This is a strategy that it's out there. Then this detecting punish approach of some instructors and tools are trying to detect and flag AI-generated writing. Many education and tech products also use this approach for plagiarism, which is proliferating and always existed even from before, integrating technologies like Turnitin for detecting plagiarized content. AI-assisted writing, students often plagiarize to finish assigned writing tasks and more quickly or get a better grade. So there's other ways AI is also used for this, but for fraud, but I'm not going to dwell much on that. So this is a strategy. You use these AI detectors to detect if AI was used, and punish, for example, like an example given here. And I would like you to scan this QR code and answer to me if you consider that should AI by students be policed and punished. I'm curious about your answer. I have a chart here. Tell me if you are able to. I'm also going to vote myself. If you're able to vote, I'm curious to know what is your answer to this. What is your opinion? I'm going to use it as well. I'm going to check it here. Also, I have. I'll give you a few seconds for you to vote and tell me what you think. So we have 6 people already answered. I'm waiting a little bit more because we have 10 people here. It's funny how this result has been evolving. At the beginning, when the first AI models appeared, the first year, the results were more or less even, but now it's skewing towards no. I have some no, we shouldn't punish, and less people are voting yes that we should. But there are people who are voting yes that we should that are here in the chat. So I understand your response. It is a strategy. There are other strategies, but I'm curious about this one. So here is then what happens if you're trying to punish and detect AI written documents, right? What you end up with is things like this. So I believe everyone's seeing. What you do have is tools that were developed that are like this one. How to create fully human and detectable content, even with AI. So what this undetectable.ai service does, which is also paid, by the way, is precisely this. So what it does is you insert the text here. You obviously need to check this. I agree to the terms of service. So no academic misconduct. And there's a button here that it says humanize. So what it does is transforms the robotic text and humanize it. Let's watch this, what I've done. Remember that research proposal I generated? You can look at it. Let's copy. It's part of it. Again, I use the free version because more than that is so you can see here, advanced AI detector and humanizer. I insert it here. I choose university or doctorate level. You can choose type of speech that you want. Let's say article, and then you click, you want it more human. Obviously, you have to click no academic misconduct. So in this case, they legally shield themselves from any repercussions. And here is the result, it generated the result. It says here that detection likelihood of all these AI detecting tools is perfect. Let's test it. Let's copy this generated humanized text from this tool. We can see that it's checked in all of these, but let's actually check manually, and we'll go to GPT-0 and 0 GPT. We could go to the other ones as well, but let's say these two and see. Remember, it was 95 before, 95% when I generated that text. Now I'm going to insert it here again, and I'm going to check the origin, and let's see, how is it okay? It says 15% likelihood AI. Most likely it is human. Let's look at this one. So again, I put it here, the text. It says 0. So GPT-0 says it's 0. This is most likely human written, but it isn't. So what I'm saying here is that there are tools that can fool the, so it's what it happens here is the cat and mouse, endless cat and mouse situation. And what you want to do is, I believe that the effort to try to detect and punish ends up frustrating everyone involved. So there's also presentations. We already know this. I haven't used, my presentation is not using AI, as you can see, but these tools like Gamma, for example, or other tools, presentations.ai, and even ChatGPT and Claude, they create your presentations as well. Not as flashy as this one, but they do. Here's an example of presentation. Just insert your paper, insert your thesis in there, and you get a presentation, more or less, a flashy presentation like this. Here's you just drop the PDF. This is the 9 best AI presentation as of 2025, but believe me, there's even more. And again, you can ask a prompt to generate in ChatGPT or in Claude, and it will generate as well. So you can see here, Gamma, presentation size, so on and so forth, how many slides it generates for free, then you have to pay, whatever. Does it export? No, yes, quality, so on and so forth. Again, it's proliferating everywhere. So even with presentations, it's been helpful. And trust me, students know about this and they're using it. And bachelor student, master students, it's shortcut and it's hard to resist. It's very tempting and people take shortcuts, unfortunately. And so we need to learn and we need to adapt in the way we do research by knowing that this is a reality, it's out there, and we have to adapt. Also to show you that there's many YouTubers specialized in PhD. For example, I give you Andy Stapleton, which is one of YouTubers that I have been watching as well, that get me inspired to make this presentation. So you can see it has thousands of views, more than 100K, thousand sometimes, and it gives tips every week or twice per week. A new video is put out there with AI of academic writing. He's promising that academic writing will be easy and like a breeze, and going to be it's going to make your PhD life better, and how research is impacted by AI. And he's highlighting every single week tools that aids AI appear online every week, and is updating what they do and how they do it, charts, tools that are geared towards generating sleek-looking academic charts, towards more writing, towards more literature review, so on and so forth. So project proposals, and so on and so forth. So you can see that, and it's not the only one, there's many more, and it's being out there for already 4 years, and the impact is started to already be seen. So here's the impact. This is, and you should aware of, and in my opinion, you should avoid. So AI-associated adjectives that have been appearing in research since AI started to be frequently used. So since you can see, this is until 2023, because this was published in 2024, but I'll show you recent charts. So you see that these words, innovative, fresh, notable, noteworthy, potent, so on and so forth, intricate, have been an explosion of use of these words and being started to appear everywhere in research that before was not used. And here are the adverbs: undoubtedly, scholarly, strategically, meticulously have been exploding in use. In my opinion, you should avoid such adjective that are such, I would say, blasting and very enthusiastic, like potent. People won't take you seriously. You should use nothing. It's unless you want to describing some kind of bomb or something, you should avoid using this AI-associated adjective. So you should know what, when AI generates text, it's biased towards generating more types of words that you can see here, and you should avoid them, because then whoever is reviewing you, whoever is reading your document after you generate, and if they received it, they will, this guy is using AI. So you lose credibility. Try knowing this, try to avoid this, change it, write a little bit yourself. Or I've tried to create prompts that avoids this, but still it happens. So please be careful. Here's another one, AI-associated adjectives. You can see intricate, commandable, meticulous have been appearing. For example, the increase of intricate was equal to 217% since 2022. So in huge increase, this is in percentage of these words. Is potent. And AI-associated adverbs meticulously, 230% increase. So you can see from the baseline. Here's another one. The one that immediately everyone detects that you have been using AI. It's the word del. Huge explosion in count of articles that before was not almost used at all. I confess, I used to use it before, and like we're talking 2014 and 15. So I used to use it, I kind of like it, but since I know about this, I stopped using it at all. So this has these biases that shows you that, and immediately, even if you're using AI detectors and you humanize it, it immediately denunciates that you're using this AI to generate text, because AI generated text kind after a while always look the same and always has the same speech pattern, and I would say speech and writing pattern. It's a better way to say to phrase it. So here is in this study positive and negative impacts of machine learning AI on science and research. You can see on one side the positive impact, and the other side is the negative impacts of AI. So here we can see, so I would highlight some positives and negatives. Provides faster way to process data, speeds up computations, saves researchers time and money. And these are all of positives, and I kind of tend to agree with them. But there's also negative impacts. It leads to more reliance on pattern recognition without understanding. It is a big pitfall. AI is a blessing. As one of my friends here at the faculty say, AI is a blessing for the people who know what they're talking about, already were well-versed and formed and have an education previous to AI, but it's a curse on the people who are now educating themselves and are using AI. So you need to avoid, because then you end up in these traps that you see here in the negative impacts of AI. It makes fraud much easier, ill-considered use leads to irreproducible research, there's power imbalances, expensive and energy-intensive tool, and there's others. Here also is problems with Gen AI and then benefits in one side. So if it proliferates misinformation, we'll see, for example, citations that are all these hallucinations. If you don't know what you're talking about, these hallucinations, then it's published. Unfortunately, as I showed at the beginning of the text, it goes through, the filter is not 100% reliable, and it's published. So what happens is, and ends up out there, and then people are citing it, so you just generated it. This is how it works, basically, garbage in, garbage out. So makes plagiarism much easier. It was already easy before, but now it makes much more easier. Brings mistakes or inaccuracies, makes easier to fabricate and falsify information, which is obviously a catastrophe. Do not do that. May bring biases into literature, harder to assess student learning, so on and so forth. But it has some benefits. Coding, it's easier and much faster, especially if you know coding. going to help you. Helps researchers without English as a first language. That's a major win. There were so many tools and before papers that were rejected because English was not as good, and it was forced to pay per word, I don't know how much, to some kind of service that operates online from UK or USA or Australia, that then they proofread your research, and it was quite expensive, talking about thousands of euros or almost up to 1,000 euros to proofread your English. And it has a major win for researchers that are not native in English. As before, you had the sensation that people that are not native of English language were punished by not being so. So this helps you improve, even if you wrote it yourself, everything, and then proofread and rephrase it in a much more coherent, scientific, mature language that is understandable, then it has been a major win. However, you can see here in this example, in this paper here that highlights propagation of AI-generated counterfeit citations in scholarship. There's many papers now that have citations that are hallucinated, that don't exist. Knowing this, and this is a major problem. It's fraud. It's an embarrassment. It's a huge embarrassment, and papers that are published with this are retracted. Okay, so you have to be very careful. And that is a So what happens is then this propagates, and these retractions are really bad for your career. So can researchers stop AI making up citations? This ChatGPT-5 hallucinations less, but does so. Again, this has been published in Nature. So again, it has been all over social media as well, and it has very negative impacts into society. People already were distrusting science, and they're distrusting science even more because these guys just generate stuff on ChatGPT and publish, and then look at it, and this is it's discrediting academia, and it has a very, very negative on all of us. So use your own research, use your own citations, read them first, and then cite the ones that you downloaded and read. Here's again, retraction count over time. You can see that number of retractions, paper of retracted every year has been quite small, and then you can see huge trends, huge retractions, thousands of papers since AI was published in 21, 22. So you can see, and this was published in 24, so this is not complete. So it's increasing and increasing number of retractions because people they take the easy way out. There's also, really quickly, I wanted to throw attention to agentic AI. Now, these tools also use agentic AI, so there's not just text generated like used to be before. I'm going to highlight here with the laser pointed. It requires human prompts. Here, it's executes actions and makes decisions, and sometimes asks you a question. So basically, what it does, this is from Elsevier, identifies high-level objectives, breaks these subtasks, sets objectives to itself, identifies which tools are needed. For example, most of the time it uses Python and coding, and then makes actions of those objectives, and then changes course if required, and then gives you the final answer. So for agentic AI for scientific discovery, in this paper here, you can see for different types of scientific areas, you have different tools that are recommended. For example, for material science are these, for general science are these, machine learning are these, or they're not the same for everyone, depending on what area you're researching in. You're going to have different types of AI agent that are more adequate for what you're doing. So basically what it uses this parallel sequence of problem-solving loop. It does perceive what you give it, so gather processing data from several sources. Once you give it the prompt, reasons it, and here when it reasons, when it analyzes context and applies logical reasoning, it also may ask you a question if something is not really clear. And then executes the plans and learns along the way and finally gives you the answer. More or less works this way. So you can see here, for example, this is from the new AI that came like a few weeks ago, Kimi. This is from China. It has been, I think it was last week, not mistaken, and it has been causing quite a stir in the world. You can see that they have task planning and then tool invocation, then autonomous execution. This is like if you had these assistants yourself that they were executing, and then it auto corrects itself, and finally output deliveries can give you a Word file, an Excel file, a presentation in PPT, so on and so forth. So agentic AI is out here, it's being used extensively already, so we have to adapt and know that it's being used. Universities are trying to address this somehow. For example, I looked at the policies of universities. Harvard University supports responsible experiments with AI. They can help you create content such as text, images, music, videos, code, input of prompts. It allows all of that, but mind data privacy compliance with academic integrity. So they are very specifically concerned about confidential data. Once you upload confidential data of research that you're doing, it becomes property of AI tools like ChatGPT or Claude. So you have to be careful if you're allowed to upload. Some of these models are offline, already tailored to this function, and then they can do this. So also need to review, it's inaccurate, mislead, it's called hallucinations. You can see here, and it obviously asks you to verify yourself everything. And the school policy, adhere to the already existing school policy before AI. How to then contact them to see if it's allowed or not. Here is the University of Oxford. They already have, this is the provided AI platforms that the university already provides for students that they want to use it. Here are them, please use them. This is the one approved and recommended by the university. And many universities already have updated their policies regarding this. So here is the TU Delft. Basically, the authors are obliged to verify accuracy of AI-generated content, including quotes, citations, references, and figures. Again, this comes because of that scandal that is happening with generated references, so on and so forth. And they also, they have this policy number 5, which is reduce the need of students to rely on AI tools, meaning that professors have to have sufficient feedback moments for students and regularly check progress of individual students. It requires more effort on the part of professor to go along with the student along the way and to develop activities that are less reliant on AI, but AI only is a tool that can help and therefore learn by doing. Here in Oxford, the Research Innovation Committee guidance says, you can read it here, it basically says peer review should be vigilant about the use of AI technologies in the development of any research output, in particular the collection, analysis, interpretation of data. Also, we can see what the publisher is saying. Elsevier has been changing the last 4 years their use of AI, and basically they're saying that increasingly these AI tools are used everywhere, but they cannot be substitute of human critical thinking, expertise, and evaluation. So there's research gaps, and these ideas, they can ultimately be used, and it's accepted by Elsevier. And here is how. For example, for images, you can illustrate concept, processes, or relationships. So basically, schematics, you can use these figures. Before, Elsevier used to forbid any type of figure generated through AI, but now it accepts. Basically, you need to make sure that the schematic is correct and disclose in caption the AI statement. So this was made by AI. And then data visualization also is right. So basically, when you generate charts, that you're not fabricate them. The data exists and it's real. You made some experiments, you have data, you generate this chart. So it's heat maps, things like this. It's acceptable. You can use it in research. But you cannot obviously use AI tools to generate and alter these types of research images that come from results. Obviously, it's forbidden. And AI tool can also use in research method, can be used in research design and research methods, AI assisting imaging, interpretation, predictive modeling. Again, here explain the case of images, which is sensitive. Describe use in a reproducible manner in the method. So this has to be in the methods clear how you used it so other people can replicate. Include tool, model name, version, developer, and manufacturer. You have to say Claude something or Opus or something, or ChatGPT 5.6 Sol or Luna or something. Follow AI tools policy, ensure proper attribution. So this is the case of research methods. But before, they used to not permit the use of AI to create and alter images in submitted manuscript. This may include enhancing, obscuring, moving, removing, or introducing specific features within an image or figure. What is here highlighted, it's more this situation here, primary research images that you should avoid. Emerald also is, they say that large language models cannot be credited, of course, and any use of AI tools within the development of Emerald must be flagged by the authors within the paper, chapter, or case study. So if you use it, you have to say, we use this tool here to generate this figure, we use this tool to write this, so on and so forth. So you put that into the description, you put that into the acknowledgements. And finally, Tenor Francis also says the use of AI tools in research and writing is an evolving practice, so on and so forth. And here AI, Taylor and Francis is a little bit more lenient, is a little bit more positive towards AI. It says that it recognizes the increased use of AI tools in academic research. As the world-leading publisher of human-centered science, we consider such tools, where used appropriately and responsibly, have a potential to augment research outputs and thus foster progress to knowledge. So here you can see that Taylor Francis is much more, it's much more positive and optimistic towards the use of AI. However, they say that authors are still accountable for the originality, validity, integrity of the content of their submissions. In choosing to use AI tools, authors are expected not to do so responsibly in accordance to editorial policy of Taylor and Francis. And finally, again, as other tools, publishers, they don't want AI to be listed as an author. And finally, the AI tools must be acknowledged and documented appropriately. Again, as in the examples that I showed you before, other publishers and the policies of the universities I have shown you before. And that's all for me. Hopefully it wasn't too much cumbersome. And I'm open for these last few minutes that we have for Q&A. Feel free to ask any questions. There are some questions here in the chat.
Thank you, Radu. More than questions, well, there are like two. One is if we could share the slides. And the other one is a comment from Anthony that maybe he wanted to explain better than myself, but he considered that policy is not the wrong word. But please, Anthony, I think you could explain what do you wanted to mention.
Is Anthony here? Anthony's here.
Yeah, I think so. And also I think he unmuted himself. But okay, in the meantime, if someone asks a question, I will go for one question for you.
I have a question, Almudena. May I jump in?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Radu, for your presentation. I'm quite surprised about the results that you first presented in the Q1 journal when it was published, and then below the table it were like written for the AI that this I cannot generate all the table. I mean, it's maybe a mutual discussion, but how can the reviewers not see this part of the article or the paper, or maybe the editor responsible for the template or things like that?
So what happened here, it's a clear case of everyone was sleeping on the wheel. The authors were sleeping on the wheel and didn't notice that.
Yeah, that's the point.
Editor didn't notice and reviewers didn't notice.
Yeah.
Now what happens is, that's one of the results. That paper was retracted, by the way, later. What happens is that the authors, what happens is vast majority of papers, this is detected somewhere, but this one slipped through. So what we need to do.
I was quite surprised, to be honest, when I heard you presenting
by
it
now,
as a case.
I need to make this again because I did it like 2 or 3 years ago, that video. I need to confirm this again if we have even more. What happens now is that the AI doesn't give that answer anymore as an AI generating model. So it's already difficult to catch. And this is to go into the comment of Anthony. Thanks, Anthony, by the way, and the comment regarding policing. Yes, policing. I don't know, oversight maybe. I would agree with that. And obviously we need to, when I mentioned in many slides that we need to be responsible with the use of AI, even Teller and Francis and publishers are saying it, that we have to use it with responsibility and with accordance with the editorial policy. There need to be some kind of oversight that makes sure that that is the case. So, but then I showed you just one of the examples that when we lean in too hard into the trying to catch the bandit, let's call it that way, then what they do is they then rely on these other AI tools that are out there. There's a market for them that then aids fraud. It aids these researchers or students to avoid this oversight. So what happens is, and this was previously as before, people cheated before AI, before internet, they will always exist. So it's on us to somehow find them, or somehow, if we detect to have a backbone and to say, no, this is not acceptable, and to reject this. Now, what happens is, now publishers and universities are accepting AI tools if they're used responsibly. So now different type of tools have to be used. For example, I now, because it takes time, but all of my master theses that I'm supervising, I send them to be checked. I checked myself, each reference, but also AI now can also verify if reference, if it's real. Agents can do that. If it's real, the DOI number, it's the correct one, and all the authors are correct, and volume and the title, so on and so forth. So tools also exist to verify this. So instead of us doing it, we just say, no, before you send your manuscript to me, go to this tool, and this tool yourself and verify yourself. I used to do this with Turnitin before. Insert in your Turnitin, check your percentage, reduce to 10%, which is our policy at Nova, reduce to 10%, and then send to me the manuscript. This has been much more effective than me putting in Turnitin and then being moralistic about, okay, you have 45% plagiarism here, you don't do this, you should be expelled. So according to also to the rules, if I detect plagiarism, then I have a sequence of tasks that I have to do, and leads to the expulsion of the student. So we need to somehow navigate these waters. Now all of this is new. So it's a complex, I agree with you, it's a complex issue. Any more question?
There is another comment about from Anthony, yeah, about this oversight clear.
Yeah, I
So,
agree what he's saying here.
So I think there is no more questions. So before closing, I would like to thank you so much. There was already some comment about your colleague, like Laura mentioning that they really like the way that you have do the presentation and the workshop. From my side, I think also it has been very useful. So thank you so much for your cooperation, Radu, as always, and for everyone. The recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel as always. So have a nice weekend, and also if you have not going on holidays yet, enjoy the summer break as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Almudena.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.